again. Today I'm going to read you another extract from my problematic book, which I think would be brilliant and would be a bestseller, but I can't see how I can publish it. Anyway, this is a little section about buying books, which is what we do. We have an early lunch and set off with a bus full of boxes, leaving the dog with Lou. Hubby has contacted someone who posted in the bookseller magazine Shepherd's Confidential that he had a house full of books to dispose of. Some of the books may be archaeology and history related. It's a deceased estate clearance and the man wants to pass the books to someone who can use them rather than send them to landfill. So we're driving to Orpington to have a look. Hubby has drawn a rough map of how to get there. His map consists of minimal spidery lines which indicate something to him, but which I find unaccountably difficult to interpret. I've put the coordinates into the sat-nav on my smartphone just in case. He tells me that he doesn't even need the map anymore because the act of drawing it has allowed him to memorise the directions. We are approaching the place and we arrive at a big roundabout where he says we have to take the third exit. Sat-nav lady says take the fourth exit. But she also indicates that the third exit route would give a similar arrival time. So I tell hubby to take the exit he thinks it should be. He takes the third exit, and at this point the road stops resembling his spider map in any way. I'm pretty sure he's misinterpreted the roundabout, and if I had not got the sat-nav telling me where to go, he would have been completely flummoxed and would have had to turn round and go back to that roundabout to rejoin the spider map. As it is, I'm able to direct him to the house and he doesn't lose any time. My quality of life is somewhat improved by this. Hubby is something of a Luddite. He doesn't even want to try new technology. His low opinion of it is usually confirmed when he does try it and finds it too difficult to understand. Software creators are not always aware of the real needs and abilities of the people who will have to encounter their beautiful and complex creations. I am only 1.5 steps ahead of hubby, and this is probably only because I am prepared to stop and think, whereas he considers stopping and thinking to be a dreadful waste of time. His antique mobile phone drowned when he fell in the pond, and he hasn't got around to replacing it yet because the choice is too overwhelming. He's had that Nokia for maybe 10 or 15 years. The numbers and letters had worn off the buttons. He was used to having it switched off most of the time and only taking it out in emergencies. Between us, Poppy, Oscar and I had just about persuaded him that he should replace it with a smartphone. So the demise of the Nokia seemed timely. But he now has to decide how to replace it. He thinks some smartphones might have fewer bells and whistles than others. He wants to avoid having to deal with endless unnecessary functions. He really just wants a phone, not a camera, not a dictaphone, not a radio, not a games machine, not a sat-nav, not email accessibility or any of the other hundreds of useful apps that come as standard nowadays. I have a feeling he won't be able to find a simple smartphone. It's a contradiction in terms. The books are underwhelming. There are quantities of coffee table books, huge heavy tomes full of glossy photos that were produced as TV show spin-offs or museum shop must-haves, which now have no value considering the disproportionate cost of posting them to customers. There are more quantities of reasonably sized books about astrology, paganism, psychology, spiritualism, self-healing and self-help. The kind of books I was deeply into about 20 years ago. Never mind 50 Shades of Grey, this is 150 Shades of Woo. Hubby says he can't take most of them. They will have to go with the house clearance. It's kind of sad rooting through a dead woman's things and seeing what she was interested in. All the information she must have taken in over the years. A lot of them are inscribed, to Mary for Christmas. She was the kind of person who was easy to buy presents for. Just get her another book on flower remedies or a crystal cluster or a model Buddha and she'd be over the moon. And then she got dementia and it all went out of her brain. And now nobody even wants her books. And where she went, we shall be following all too soon. It's so weird belonging to a species with self-awareness. You know your existence is a brief blip, yet it's so hard to imagine not existing.